And this is a great opportunity to kind of recycle some of your old watercolors, maybe some scraps or whatever that you didn't know what to do with. I save all my good watercolor paper because it is so expensive, and you can always use the back. So that's what I'm using, is the back side of my watercolor paper. Here is some quick demo stuff that I did in class. And I'm going to be painting for you something like this, a very loose, fun, modern Sumi-e style orchid painting. And the reason I call it modern Sumi-e is because in the traditional Sumi-e you usually use a Japanese brush like this. It comes to a nice point, and you use the ink that they use, black ink. But modern Sumi-e, I like to use a nice pointy round brush, and also my watercolor paints, which I have right here. And I've got some cool colors lined up. I've got some Opera Rose, alizarin. This is quinacridone gold, sap green, and some hooker's green, burnt sienna, and I've got some violets and some ultramarine blue. So if that's colors you want to use. What I recommend is that when you first start, you kind of have to get into a zone with Sumi-e. You gotta have to practice. And as you can see, here's some of my practice sheets. I practiced here a little bit, and I practiced here a little bit, and all over the place. I've been kind of practicing and practicing until I get one that I really, really like. And I kind of like this one, although I want to make a terracotta more color for the pot, so I'm going to use a burnt sienna. So anyways, here we go. Let me see if I can get this done. I'm going to take my brush, and I've got some paint. I don't want it to be too wet because I don't want the colors to bleed into each other too much, so kind of moist but not too wet. And then I'm going to lay in the terracotta pot. I'm going to draw kind of a little lip there for the pot. Come down and draw the shape. Take some more paint. And I'm just kind of, maybe a little bit more water there. Kind of getting the shape here. Filling it in. In Sumi-e style, we're not too tight. We kind of loosen things up a little bit. So we want to use more our whole arm and not get too tight and detailed, okay? So here's my terracotta pot. Now I'm going to start with some of the leaves. I'm going to kind of get some greens and golds kind of lined up here on my brush. And you can vary the color. You can tip it with one color and put another color in there. So here's some gold with some green. Oh, I like that. So I'm kind of just making the shape of the leaf. You can bring it right down into the pot like that. Now I'm going to take some more green. I'm going to kind of vary the color, make this top leaf of the orchid. And these are a little bit more chunky, so kind of come in there and get it like that. Might have to do a couple strokes to get the shape that you want. And now do one more leaf kind of coming out of the pot this way. And you can see this is just more of a fun, free-form style of art without having to do a lot of drawing and detailing. You just kind of have fun. Okay. So now I'm going to come back with some green. And I want to just do a nice little stem that kind of comes out here, and it's going to go around the back. And that's going to be our budding stem coming out for our orchid. So now I'm going to wash my brush, kind of rinsing it in the water and dabbing it on the paper to get any paint off. I'm going to go into the Opera Rose here. Maybe just tap it a little bit with some red. I'm going to start forming the orchid petals. So basically it's just a stroke like that, a downward stroke. And you put a couple of them in there. About 5 of them for an orchid. But you can vary it because you might have some that are more side view, more straight on. I'm going to put just a dab of gold in there, just kind of vary the color. And we're going to stack these orchids like that. Okay, now here's some pink with some red. These two are kind of running into each other, which is kind of fine. Now I'll take some pink, just a little bit of purple on there, just to vary that color again. Put one more open orchid, and then we're going to come into the more closed orchid. I'm just going to take some pink. This is more of a closed orchid. It's not quite open all the way. And then we're going to put a little bud. You know how when you see those orchids, you always see those little round buds that haven't quite opened yet? And here's the stem of this plant coming around the orchids like that. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush again, pick up a little bit of gold, put some for the center of each orchid, like that. Now I'll pick up a little bit of gold with some pink, and do a little bit more detail here. Kind of make like a little circle around there. And that's pretty much the orchid. I'm going to come back to my leaf here, put one little detail, show that this one's more in front of this one, and then I'm going to put some blues and purples. I'm going to put these little, you always see the roots of the orchid kind of coming out of the pot, and they kind of come out kind of crazy like that. Just kind of do some crazy little stuff there. Let me finish up our terracotta pot here. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of a shadow, maybe some purples and browns, just to kind of show a little shadow coming out from the pot here. Okay, so there's my little modern Sumi-e